Hooter and Torah in the dark over on a virtual side of man, rocking by the campfire a little bit. Woke up this morning and I was thinking, man, I'm gonna have to go put some wood on the fire, and I was pleasantly surprised. Had some really, really good embers, and I had a couple of logs that were completely untouched because of the way I had arranged things. And I had three that were in pretty decent shape, and spent about 3 minutes rearranging it and just came right back up. I don't know what yours was like, Hoot.
I don't know. I didn't really check. I just wanted to like grab the headphones, so came back
Oh
on.
yeah.
Got a little space heater in here. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I didn't rock the space heater. I just had a whole bunch of blankets.
Oh, there we go.
I had my sleeping bag packed.
Oh,
Shalom, Travis. How's it going?
just not come. You be safe coming down here, bro.
All right. I'm in Proverbs 18, page 745 if you're rocking the scriptures. The separatist seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound wisdom. A fool does not delight in understanding, but in uncovering his own heart. When a wrong one comes, scorn comes too, and with shame comes reproach. The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The fountains of wisdom stream. It is not good to show partiality to the wrong, or to turn aside the righteous in right ruling. A fool's lips enter into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his life. The words of a slanderer are like delicacies, and they go down into the inner parts of the heart. Also, he who is slack in his work is a brother of a master destroyer. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. The rich man's wealth is his strong city, and like a high wall in his own imagination. Before destruction, the heart of a man is haughty, and before esteem is humility. He who answers a matter before he hears it, it is folly and shame to him. The spirit of a man sustains him in sickness, but who does bear a broken spirit? The heart of the understanding one gets knowledge, and the ears of the wise seek knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. The first to the first to state his own case seems right until another comes and examines him. The lot settles disputes and separates between the mighty. A brother transgresses against a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a citadel. A man's stomach is satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. He is satisfied with the increase of his lips. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those loving it eat its fruit. He who has found a wife has found good and receives favor from Yahweh. The poor seeks beseechingly, but the rich answers fiercely. A man of many friends might come to ruin, but there is a loving one who sticks closer than a brother. A lot of meat in that one.
So I see a bit of a theme in this chapter. And of course,
Yeah.
this chapter is the infamous FMITW and the power of the tongue, right?
Oh, 100%.
Like, let's see, back in verse 6, a fool's lips enters into strife, and his mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his ruin, and his lips are the snare of his life. And then continuing down, the words of a slander are like delicacies, and they go down into the inner parts of the heart. So this chapter really drives home being cautious about what you say and the
Yeah.
words that come forth from your lips.
With the right attitude, with the right heart, then, I mean, who's the master destroyer? Saying we're basically a brother of Satan.
Right. It's very true. So not only should you speak life into people rather than breaking them down into death, but you should also. It's funny, like, I'm pretty sure there's a great command for this. One of the two. It's something like, where's yourself? It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. The name of Yahweh is a strong tower. The righteous run into it and are safe. Just have that song stuck in my head. You are my strong tower. That's an oldie.
Before destruction, the heart of man is haughty, and before esteem is humility. Your own destruction or your own esteem can be really determined by your attitude in life, right? And sometimes your attitude gets you really far or a long, far away from what your life could be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think attitude is everything. In all honesty, if you're approaching things with an attitude that is humble, an attitude that is willing to learn, an attitude that is really just more pleasant to be around for other people.
Right.
I think your outcomes are going to be substantially better than if you're walking around with a chip on your shoulder, if you're, you know, upset with the world, if you feel like everybody's out to get you. A lot of times that attitude will make or break just about everything for you. Hey, Travis, drive safe, man. If you either have us in the background or mute us, either way, bro, just drive safe. That's what matters more than listening to us. I'd rather you be able to tune in at a later date than decide to drive with your knee and listen with your phone in your ear.
So Travis says that in verse 20, which says, man's stomach is satisfied from the fruit of his mouth. He is satisfied with the increase of his lips. Which says, it reminds him or makes him think about Romans 10, verse 10, which says,
10, huh?
For with the heart one believes unto righteousness, and one confesses with the mouth, and so is saved.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, good catch, man.
Yeah, I'm just going a couple verses down. Still in Romans 10, because the scripture says, whoever puts his trust in him shall not be put to shame, because there is no destruction between, or there is no distinction between Yehudi and Greek, for the same master of all is rich to all those calling upon him. For everyone who calls on the name of Yahweh shall be saved. The poor speaks beseechingly, but the rich answers fiercely. A man of many friends might come to ruin, but there is a loving one who sticks closer than a brother. Mine has loving one capitalized.
Yes, correct.
And
This is,
I think that hits on a couple different things, because the difference between many friends and a good friend. There's that adage, um, your friends come visit you in jail, but your best friend is in the cell right next to you saying, heck yeah, that was awesome. And I don't necessarily condone going to jail, because maybe for the right reasons, but uh, who's your ride or die, who sticks with you. But you want to talk about ride or die being filled with the Ruach, that's definitely sticking closer than a brother for sure. Now, hopefully we're walking in such a way that we're with brothers who are actually sticking close, and that we're sticking close to them.
well, interestingly, we see a little bit of an inverse to that in verse 19. The brother transgressed against is a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of the citadel. So the opposite of that, treating your brothers poorly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transgressing them. Compared to here as a strong city, like it's gonna be hard to get back into
Oh yeah.
relationship with that person. Um, so like the walk that you have, not even with just yourself, but with other people, like you need to be intentional with it. You need to be serious about it, and I don't really know a nicer way of putting it, but if you just start half-assing this,
Mm-hmm.
it's got great potential to turn its head on you. So again, it's easy if you just remember to love your neighbor as yourself.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Page. The fool does not delight in understanding, but in uncovering his own heart. I don't know why, but just what comes to mind with that is you have so many people who are trying to, I guess, have their story heard, or are, you know, telling other people like, oh, you just got to understand why I did what I did. And we have a society where we're trying to, have sympathetic villains, I guess, where we just, show the motivation behind what we were doing, as if that motivation justifies, horrible actions. And yeah, it may tell us why somebody did what they did, maybe. Um, but I think the connotation in that verse, fool does not delight in understanding. Um, if we're actually trying to get to the heart of the matter, like the real heart of the matter, and not just what our heart said, um, that sometimes, our motivation for doing something, while it, may shed light onto a situation that doesn't change, the rightness or the wrongness of the objective, I guess. Because, if we hurt somebody unjustly, that doesn't matter if we had all the right reasons in hurting that person unjustly. Now, I mean, if somebody is standing up for the oppressed, or if somebody is, um, speaking up for what's right, that's one thing. But if it's, well, I took this because you know I'm not being compensated accordingly, and so that justified me stealing this from you, it's like, no, there's recourses for getting what's yours. It doesn't justify taking it.
Well,
There's ways to voice our grievances, with our brother, that doesn't justify us hurting our brother.
And I think that's harped on a little bit too in Dave 17, a little further down. The first to state his own case, it seems right. So
Oh
another
yeah.
examines him. Almost like when we say like there's always two sides to a story.
Oh yeah.
Um, like my mind goes to the heart is wicked above all things.
Oh yeah. Jeremiah 17:9.
So sometimes in the flesh, you start stating your own case, trying to get your side of the story out.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else trying to disrupt the truth until another comes and examines him. It's like, yeah, well, let's look at this a little bit, and
Well, that gif. Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? That's what comes to mind.
yeah,
But no, you gotta understand. I did this and this for this reason and that reason. Are you sure about that?
yeah, no, that's a good one.
That's where my brain goes.
Um, Another one that kind of stuck out to me was verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
Who answers a matter before he hears it is folly, foolishness, and shame to him.
Yeah.
I have here, I guess just the way my brain simplifies things, I've written listen more than you speak, and it makes me think of, I don't know where this comes from, but I know I've heard it several times before, but you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. You should listen more than you speak.
Mm-hmm. And harping on that, you have two eyes, two ears, one mouth. That's four inputs of information just on your face. And so it's taking in that information, processing it.
Shalom, Dana.
Yeah, we
What's
got
up?
Guy in the chat, we got Dana in the chat, we got Travis in the chat.
Oh, Guy's here too. What's up,
Yeah,
Guy?
Guy's here all the way from Montana. You're
Freaking
doing Sukkot on hard mode, bro.
guy.
Like just
Let's
walked outside, shot a bear in the face, skinned it, and made your tent out of it.
see.
Hmm. The heart of the understanding one gets knowledge. The ear of the wise seeks knowledge. A man's gift makes room for him and brings him before great men. It's just better to take in that information. That's comes to mind on that one. Take in that information, process it, and Man's gift makes room for him. Brings him before great men. So, our giftings bringing us into circles of people who are going to be those guys who stick closer than a brother. What are we bringing to the table? It's not that whole, oh man, if I can just have this person and this person and this person for my dream prepper team who, we're going to face the end of the world together. It's like, man, are you the right person? Focus on you. Focus on making you the most adequate member of your team that you can be. And that doesn't mean being the cool guy who can fast rope down from the helicopter and, use your 22 Win Mag Shy-Tech to plink steel at 1,000 yards with one hand while you're fast roping. I mean, can you commo, bro? Can you answer the call when it comes? Can you go help your brother who needs you? What's your thoughts on verse 18? The lot settles disputes and separates between the mighty.
Well, the way I've come to understand lots, because I mean, obviously, the way we would do it today is very different. But I think of
Yeah.
the same as like when we do a coin flip, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, how many times have we settled our own disputes with like a coin flip? Like we're talking with somebody or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and can't quite make a decision. We're like, all right, well, let's flip on it,
Yeah.
And as far as separates between the mighty, I don't really know, but I also think of like how they cast lots for what was it, the garments of Yeshua, the cloak or whatever.
Yeah, it's interesting how many times just in the New Testament they cast lots for a decision. Yeah, the garments, that was one. What I find interesting, choosing the dude who would replace Judas. What was his name? Was it Mattathias?
Yeah,
It's just like, hey, we've got people who are qualified. Which one's going to fill his office? And they cast lots, and it lands on him. And it's like, all right, you know, all other things being equal, we're going to let the Father pick. I find that interesting.
yeah, and I think what's interesting about it is it seems that there's this trust and understanding that Yah would be present through something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He would make his decision known.
Yeah.
And so even though it can be used for foolishness for sure,
Yeah.
I guess if you're You know, in like that case you just stated with the apostles, right? Trying to replace Judas.
Mm-hmm.
When it's for a righteous matter, I suppose.
Yeah.
Makes you think of like the Rumum and the Tumum, how they used to have
Yeah.
those. That was how they knew Yah was speaking.
Well, I mean, they would even use that for selecting the goat on the Day of Atonement.
Right.
Uh, they would, all right, which one is for Yahweh and which one's for Azazel?
Interesting stuff, man.
Yeah.
Beyond my scope, that's for sure.
This one came in a little while back, but just reading Travis's comment. I'm most of the time feeling alone in this walk, where I am working on just being obedient and trusting Him to bring me His people. My wife and I have been camping alone this year. Yeah. It's just my family right now, bro. And we've got some people who are gonna join us in either tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure, but uh, I think it's about being faithful, and I think it's also about being the right people, so that way when the right people come join you, uh, things just work out a little bit better. Um, we're picky with who we choose to surround ourselves with, and it's not that there aren't other great people out there, because I think there are, but we've got good people in our life, and sometimes that means we're camping with other people, and sometimes that means we're camping by ourselves. Uh, and just because they're not in our specific campsite doesn't mean that they're not good people. But when the people you mesh with well, that are going to stick closer than a brother, come along, I think that plays into being the right person. I mean, uh, what was it? Verse 22: He who has found a wife has found good and receives favor from Yahweh. I mean, are you gonna be the right husband material when the right woman comes along? It's the same thing. It's just now you're adding other families into the mix of, is your family going to jive well with this other family? Are you going to be the right family that's raising your kids in a similar way, so that way you guys aren't looking cross-eyed at each other going, I don't really like the way they raise their kids. That just, you know, and vice versa.
Well, my advice would be, don't take for granted the people that Yah has placed
Mm-hmm.
before you in this time, because whether they be quote unquote your people or not, like they're the people you have, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
reason why you're still there, and whoever that may be. For me, it was, you know, some family members who at one point thought I was literally in a cult, and also people at work who thought I was nuts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, love your neighbor as yourself. Like, who's your neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's the ideal state for Israel at the time would have been their neighbor was, each other, but like,
Mm-hmm.
who's your neighbor right now? Go love them,
Yeah.
and think of think of the endless opportunities that the Father is providing for you to be a witness and a testimony to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Place that you are because you're overlooking that in a want and desire of something else. And that is not to say that you shouldn't want and desire other things, but when that comes full force over the fact that you're right where you are today, right? The
Mm-hmm.
only thing we have is the next breath that we get. Um, like, I would just stay focused on that, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes that feeling of loneliness and isolation a lot less noticeable, I guess. Because that was something I struggled with too, man. That feeling of being alone and not enjoying it, obviously.
Yeah.
And one thing that got me through it was realizing that there's always a reason you're right where you are. And I mean, sometimes there could be a lot that goes to that. And I would say it comes with prayer and supplication. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, really like that.
100%. Man, I just want to stare in the fire. Mm. You guys having a good Sukkot?
Yeah, I am.
Good.
I know I
Yeah.
am. It's always a great time, Sukkot.
Yeah.
Tends to cool down a bit. It's good fire season.
Yeah.
And, guys instructed us to go camping. It's quite the thing.
Yeah. So we're doing small gifts for our kids throughout. Uh, we're trying to make them as practical as possible, um, and it'll be off of the theme of the four gifts: something you want, something you need, something to wear, and something to read. Um, but we're just trying to make each day special for our kids, um, and that is special foods and small gifts. And uh, gave my kids some whistles yesterday, and oh my gosh, the joy that my kids had running around just blowing those whistles. Um, I didn't think that my youngest was gonna want the whistle, um, and she took to it, and my wife had to run an errand and drop something off to some people we love, and she asked my youngest, hey, you want to come with me? And she's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was gonna take the whistle from her because I'm just like, I don't really want you to, um, you know, blow this in the car and distract mommy while she's driving. And my wife was like, just let her play with it. It'll be fine. Um, and my kids saw each other when my wife got back, and they greeted each other by blowing their whistles back and forth. Uh, and there's uh, a purpose in giving them those whistles. I'm starting to work with my kids on lost proofing them. Uh, and so we played hide and seek. Uh, but when they found their hiding spot, they'd blow their whistle until someone came and found them. Um, and they were seeing how practical that was, and uh, my wife and I were too. It's like, oh, hey, hey, you're out of my line of sight. Hey, blow your whistle so we can see you, so we can find you. And it's effective.
Yeah, yeah, I can see it.
Shalom, encouraging community.
What's up, Tech? Shalom, bro.
You guys doing any real good food?
Nothing super like abnormal, I guess. Like we just had steak last night and stuff.
Oh yeah, we're
But
doing lamb tonight. I'm really excited.
ooh, yeah, that sounds really good. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to
we
talk.
did we did lamb for trumpets the other night, so I'm just getting spoiled. We
Oh,
don't we don't do it with that level of frequency, and I'm like, man, we're getting lamb twice in the same month. I'm excited.
well, I don't think I have too much longer here. Getting battery charged, but
Okay. Yeah, I'm down to 37%. So you getting real low, or
not super low.
okay? Well, you want to pray us out, or you want me to?
I can press up. That's fine. Oh, Heavenly Father, yeah. Thank you for this beautiful morning. Father, thank you for this time of Sukkot. We get to enjoy this with you, Father. Help us to keep a remembrance of you bringing your people out of the land of Mitzrayim and into the promised land, but as well as help us to look forward to dwelling with your Son Yeshua when he returns. Father, thank you for all these beautiful people. Thank you for this opportunity to fellowship every Friday morning. Father, thank you for your word. I pray that it fills us up with knowledge. Father, please be with us the rest of these 8 days. Let your spirit move. And we just ask that you would show up and that you would put out. Father, please continue to protect and provide for us. And we just ask that our daily needs would be met. Father, I ask that you would bless all these people today. And that you would continue to guide them in their walk and remind them when that feeling comes in that they're not alone. Father, we love you. We cherish you. In the mighty name of your Son, Yeshua.
Amen. Oh, Guy, I see your comment about your wife having her wisdom teeth out. So when I had mine pulled a little while back, uh, I was uh, I was going through the TV show Lost at the time, and I believe I was in season 4. And that was the one where the writer's strike was happening. And so that's when they threw all the crazy stuff in there. And I remember coming off of the meds that the oral surgeon had given me, and I was watching, and I had just put in a new disc, and I was like, "Whoa, what just happened?" I had to. It was 2 or 3 days later when I finally got around to rewatching those episodes because I was just spaced out of my mind with the meds that the oral surgeon had put me on, which made the viewing experience of Lost substantially different. Uh, so my hope for your wife is that she has a speedy recovery with those wisdom teeth being out, and that she'll be able to eat good food soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet she's going to bounce back real fast. Thank you guys for joining us. Enjoy your Sukkot. Go pray with somebody. Take your Bibles with you. Go do hard things. Shalom.
You all, shalom, shalom.
Love you guys.